Hello everyone, Brad Johnson here, and get ready to be in store for a really amazing interview with Nora Herold as I bring forward the Self-Empowerment TV interviews back. Through this particular interview that you're about to see, we tackle a lot of great stuff relating to higher consciousness, relating to energy, the ability of channeling, looking at the Yeshua energies, the Pleadian energies, dimensional construct, the game of incarnation, and so much more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this personal Self-Empowerment TV interview between myself and Nora Herold. Hello everyone, welcome to Self-Empowerment TV. I'm Brad Johnson, and I have a very special guest on Self-Empowerment TV. We have Nora Herold here, very first time special guest here. Nora, thank you so much for being here on Self-Empowerment TV today.
Oh, hi Brad, hi everybody. I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to spend this time with you. Thank you so much for having me on, and it's wonderful to connect with you, Brad. I really appreciate and honor and respect you and your work in the world.
Oh, likewise, very much. So, Nora, for people who just are starting to get to know you for the very first time, how did this all begin? You are a channeler who channels the Pleadian Collective as well as several other beings. How did this whole adventure, this whole journey start out for you?
I think adventure is a very good word. You know, when I was young, I was intuitive and highly sensitive and emotional, and I worked when I was younger on developing my intuitive abilities using different tools and techniques, meditation and the tarot. I worked with the tarot for a long time and gave tarot readings, but it was back in 1996. I'd gone through a really challenging emotional period and was very depressed. And I was hanging out with a friend one night, and she mentioned the word channeling and talked about a friend of hers, Wendy Kennedy, who she just met, who was channeling. And you know, she kept using that word, and it really lit something up in me, and I realized, oh, that's the thing I've been looking for. So that night I established conscious contact, and I like to say conscious contact because my guides, all those beings that I work with, have always been with me, but that night I became fully aware that they were with me. I established conscious contact with Mirondo, my primary spirit guide at the time. And then it was just a very, very quick evolution after that of meeting many beings, opening up to my direct voice channeling abilities, my clairaudient, clairvoyant, clairsentient abilities. So yeah, that was kind of my beginning. My beginning really was born out of a need for connection and a need for that unconditional love.
Wow, absolutely. So it was quite an adventure, just for that, again, using that term adventure, through the whole channeling state. Did you ever feel that when you were younger that you had a lot of these particular abilities? Because what I discovered was that when I was younger, I realized that I had a lot of these intuitive abilities, these psychic abilities, but I didn't really know what they were. Was there a lot of type of experiences that you felt when you were younger that was kind of leading you step by step towards the type of work that you're doing right now involving channeling?
Yes, definitely. I was always very aware and knew things before they were going to happen, and I even could contact my mother telepathically if I needed to, if I needed to hear from her and she was not in the home. I had figured out how to do that, but I wasn't focused on developing those abilities when I was a child or in my teenage years, so it was more kind of something that just happened. I didn't realize back then that it was something I could develop. And I didn't realize back then that it's something that we're all capable of on the planet.
Wow, yeah, absolutely. Well, that's what I feel is, again, a lot of people are starting to come forward and bring about a lot of this information from the channeling state. Was there a particular assignment or a particular mission that when you were beginning to channel the Pleiadians, that there was a type of mutual contract agreement that came forward to saying that, well, here's our particular relationship with you, here's who we are and how we relate to you? Was there a particular form of introduction relating to the mutual compatibility of you connecting to this energy, as well as the energy communicating with you?
Yeah, there was definitely, for me, a recognition of the Pleiadian energy and a recognition that I carry both past lives or other lifetime experiences as Pleiadian being, and that I also carry genetic material in my body that is Pleiadian in origin. So it was like connecting with family, and I had a very intense experience early on after consciously meeting the Pleiadians during my nighttime adventures, where I was on a ship. I felt like a kid at Christmas, that best feeling you can access of excitement and joy. I was looking out the window of the ship at Earth, surrounded by light beings who I knew to be Pleiadian. So that experience, and I know it wasn't a dream, I know that I was on the ship with them that night. That happened very early on in my contact with them, right after I began consciously channeling, and that really helped to solidify my understanding of myself as not just an earthling, but as a galactic citizen and as a universal being of light and love.
Oh, wow. I imagine there are quite a bit of different races, so to speak, within the Pleiades. Was there a specific form or a specific type of representation that the Pleiadians presented themselves as?
I'm sorry. I've always interacted with a collective entity that refers to itself as Pleiadian, that does not take on physical form. They were a 9th dimensional collective, and I've now begun working with a 12th dimensional collective that aligns its energies with the Pleiades. So I don't see a particular physical or more animal or humanoid type form when I interact with them. When I interact with the Fairy, or when I interact with the Lyrians, or some of the other beings I work with the Zetas, you know, then I see very definitive physical expressions of their energy.
Excellent. So, relating to the Pleadian Collective, as you mentioned, that they, again, don't really have a particular form, I guess it would be safe to say that it is almost like the non-physical essence that you're channeling, or maybe even, so to speak, like the stars themselves of the Pleiades star cluster.
Yes, and actually the 9th dimensional Pleadian Collective that I've worked with aligns itself with Alcyon in the Pleiades star system specifically. The 12th dimensional Pleadian Collective is a little more complicated to try to explain their origin, because they're not really Pleiadian beings. However, greetings, this is the Pleadian Collective. Sometimes it's just easier for us to explain our identity to all of you. So thank you for giving us the opportunity, Brad, to connect with you and all your viewers at this time.
Yes, I was actually just about to ask to actually bring in the Pleadian Collective and see if they could probably bring in their perspective. So thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, you're most welcome, yes.
What can you tell us about yourselves? What can you tell us about your arrangement relating to Nora?
First we'll tell you about ourselves, then we'll tell you about our contract with Nora. We are a 12th dimensional collective of many, many beings. We really can't even put a number on our identity, because we don't understand ourselves in an individuated kind of fashion. So whereas you are all a collective there on planet Earth, you have an understanding of yourselves as individuated beings, so you can count how many billions of you there are in your collective. And then you are also a collective as well, operating all as one voice. We are a collective light being entity that does not understand any separation from one another. So we all combine together in this way and work with you all in this way. We work with you for many reasons. We work with you to help you all remember your identities as universal beings of light and love, as beings from the stars, as beings from many other dimensions and many other realms. We are not higher than you, because truly all in the universe are the same. We all come from that same expression of the highest vibrational love energy. And then we just choose which dimensions we'd like to play on throughout our incarnational processes. So this is our current incarnation, just as where you all right now is your current incarnation. And our work specifically with Nora is to assist her in helping as many as possible across the planet to awaken to their true identity, as universal beings of light and love. But it's also to gain information and understanding from her. So it's a two-way street. We receive and transmit as you all receive and transmit.
So basically, I guess one particular form of understanding would be that Nora's physical body and that her essence, herself, contained within this life, is in that sense a particular physical representation of what she represents through you, through the Pleadian Collective consciousness, yes?
Yes, we would say that is one of the roles that she serves. It's not the only one. But we'll say that as Nora was developing, there was a period of time where she understood herself to only be Pleadian. And that was where she was at in her evolution. And that will be true for all of you as you awaken to your galactic connections and identities. It's very common for you first to remember one experience and really align with that experience and that group. And then eventually you move on and open up to your bigger identity as universal beings of light and love.
Oh, wow, excellent. So in regards to your arrangement pertaining to Nora, has there been a lot of specificity relating to certain topics or certain themes that you are working alongside with others, or do you feel that there's a lot of generalized information that's coming through you to then share with Nora?
We would say there's a very specific program that she's working on right now that we're helping her with, and that is the integration of the fifth dimensional identity or the higher self. And we use those terms interchangeably that all of you are experiencing. So we, along with Yeshua and the Lyrians and the fairies and the angelics and the other beings that Nora works with, have all been working through her to help you all understand your own fifth dimensional vibration, how to better access your fifth dimensional vibration and technologies within your own chakra system and begin operating on the planet as at this time as the fifth dimensional versions of yourselves. So that's one of our primary roles with her. Another primary purpose with her is to give galactic history, and many of the other beings and collectives she works with offer that kind of history as well.
Excellent. So with the particular perspective that you hold relating to the Pleadian Collective, what is your perception in regards to how you view what is happening on Earth and, of course, the collective of humanity, of how it is prospering at this time?
The first thing we would say, Brad, is we wish that you all could see yourselves the way we see you. You are beautiful, all of you. And your light collectively has amplified a millionfold over the last 5 years. Truly, your evolution, your shifting consciousness is accelerating at an exponential rate. Now, we don't watch the clock like you do, so we don't feel any kind of frustration or impatience as many of you on the planet do, because some of you will hear this information and you will look around you at what is happening on the planet perhaps and think, well, how can that possibly be true? In a lot of ways, some of you think things look darker or worse than they ever have before, but truthfully, energetically, you have altered your vibration to such a rate that you're just really waiting now for physical reality to catch up with what you've all done energetically, and it's beautiful to behold.
Wonderful.
You are beautiful to behold.
Excellent, excellent. And now I believe many others may be asking, about the idea of the transformation that we're going through right now. Again, time simply is the marker of illusion. But as we see ourselves right now, do you see a particular perspective of us joining you from where you exist through the idea of non-physicality?
Well, in many ways you already are joined with us, because many of you carry Pleiadian DNA within your bodies, as Nora was talking about earlier in her own body, and you also carry with you in your own personal Akashic records or your libraries those informations, lifetime experiences in the Pleiades. So that connection is already there, already established. We do feel like you are also asking about perhaps extraterrestrial contact here on Earth, yes?
In a way, yes.
Yes. when we hear you asking, Brad, about the non-physical connection and perhaps when that might happen, we'd like to say that's already occurred. That's not something any of you need to wait for. That's something, in fact, all of you simply need to recognize and open up to. But as far as perhaps physical extraterrestrial beings, and that would not be us, because we don't hold that experience, there's a big negotiation right now across your sector of the galaxy occurring, with many beings involved, determining the best course of action as far as interactions with humans on Earth. And we can't see what timeline you all are going to choose. And that's the thing, is we hold this multidimensional perspective where we can look at you, Brad, individually, and we can see a million versions of your reality right now, one layered one on top of the other. And a choice you make in this moment might move you to another timeline that we're looking at. This is true for collective humanity as well. So that's why a lot of you will feel as if disclosure is imminent or extraterrestrial contact is imminent, and then it doesn't quite occur, or it doesn't happen, right, because you collectively haven't reached that timeline, that agreed upon moment where you're all allowing that to happen.
Absolutely. Now, in regards to councils and to spiritual hierarchies, are there particular councils and or hierarchies of a spiritual nature that your collective works with in regards to the association of caretaking or behind-the-scenes work relating to the progression of Earth?
So that's a wonderful question, and we're going to give you an answer that you all can understand there from your perspective, from the third and fifth dimensional perspective. But truly, once you move beyond the third and fifth dimensional perspective, those hierarchies don't really exist. The game completely changes as you shift and alter your vibration and your frequency. We will say that Yeshua, the Yeshua Collective, is the group that is primarily responsible for the Earthlings at this time. And that's why you have the Jesus myth and the way that you do, and the myths about Buddha and all of the other characters who carry with them the Yeshua frequency, because it is the Yeshua Collective that's working to help, working most closely with the Earthlings, Muhammad, to help them maintain and alter and shift and raise their vibration and their frequency. Within, let's say, our relationship with the Yeshua Collective, there is no higher or lower. There's no hierarchical construct. You know, when you all use terms like Galactic Federation, and a lot of you receive information that seems to come in this very kind of hierarchical or council-oriented type fashion. But the reason for that, the reason you're receiving it in that way, is because that's your own perspective. So as you rise above that, you begin to realize that this is just all a big collective dance. It's all a big collective play, and each of us serve in the moment in the way that is for our highest good, the way that is for collective humanity's highest good, the way that it is for the highest good of the universe. So there's not a set hierarchical structure that we wish to discuss. Others may wish to discuss something like that, but that's not really our work with all of you.
Right. Now, with the arrangements such as Yeshua, such as Buddha, such as Krishna, all of these quote-unquote spiritual masters that have come upon the plane, would this be kind of an integration in regards to how their collective consciousness associated in the physical form on Earth that then represented their responsibility to assist in the caretaking of Earth as we continue to progress?
Greetings, this is Yeshua. We greet you with love and joy, and recognize the beautiful beings of light that you are. Yes, Brad, that's the answer to that question. You summed up our work with all of you quite beautifully. And we appear on the planet sometimes very significantly in those stories that have been told, but we are also always with you on the planet, running our energy through the physical bodies of any of the Earthlings who feel an association or connection with the Yeshua Collective. So that's one of Nora's roles as well. She carries with her the Yeshua frequency, that vibration. We are a part of her as she is a part of us, as she is also a part of many other beings and collectives, as you are as well, Brad.
Excellent. Now, one of the very common questions that I personally get when I channel Adronis or with anything else that comes through is that people ask, why am I here? Have I incarnated so much on Earth, and what really is the point of the entire incarnation game? Why is it that we incarnate on this Earth? Is there anything that Yeshua or the Pleiadians would like to address in regards to incarnation and playing the game of incarnation?
This is the Pleiadians here. Yes, we'll chime in on this one for you, Brad. Often that question is asked from a place of frustration and anger. More often than not, that's why the question is asked, because if you're enjoying your time here on the planet, you don't typically ask that question. So it's usually asked in a moment of difficulty or struggle.
That's right.
We used to view Earth as the all-you-can-eat buffet of experiences. And that's the way we like to define your time on Earth. Many of you view reincarnation or karma as an evolutionary process. You think that you start in preschool and you move your way up through your PhD program, through your incarnational cycles. That's not our perspective. Our perspective is that everyone in the universe starts at the very highest vibrational level you can. And from there, you simply choose experiences. And Earth is certainly not the only place in the universe that you all get to play this way, but it's very special in that Earth itself is made up of, comprised of genetic material from all across the universe. So you get a diversity of experiences on Earth that you can't get anywhere else. From our perspective, there is no good or bad, there is no right or wrong, and there is no you have to learn this particular karmic lesson, and you can't get off planet Earth until you graduate. And a lot of you have that perspective. And we hear a lot of you saying, again, when you're in your darkest and dimmest moments, this is it. This is my last incarnation on Earth. I'm not returning after this lifetime. And we often chuckle when we hear you say that, because once you transcend your darker spaces, suddenly you begin to open up to the magic and the beauty and the wonder that is available to you on Earth, and then you become excited about coming back. You know, this is Nora. I'll chime in if I can, Brad. I mean, that was my story. When I first connected up, I was like, what the hell am I doing here? I want off this planet. I want to go home. And now, after much of my own integration process, I'm loving my life on Earth. I am loving being Nora in a way that I didn't ever think was possible.
Absolutely. And you know, there's always been times for myself where there's been trials and tribulations, there's been challenges, there's been the greatest days where you feel you're just at your brightest, and there's those days where you feel that it is very, very challenging, and there's a lot of, you know, hoops and hurdles to jump over. And I feel that when a person is able to, in that sense, pass away from their physical body, that when they return back to spirit, there's that state of really strong reflection. Well, you know what, here's how I concluded that life, and I'm ready about to move into a state of escape velocity, but, well, maybe I should go back down. I'd like to have more kids again. Maybe I should go back down. I'd like to have a sister this time. Maybe I should go back down. I would love to have a really great partnership. Do the Pleiadians, does Yeshua, do the energies feel that this is basically what it is? It's this loop-de-loop that wants to go back up, but then feels that through self-commitment and self-reflection, they want to go back into the game of incarnation?
This is the Pleiadians, yes. And it's also a bit more complicated than that, because once you transcend the physical experience, you go to that in-between space that you were talking about, Brad. From there, you reintegrate with your oversoul. So you do move a step higher. And then other pieces of the oversoul break off and incarnate. So in this moment, every single one of you on the planet, you are a piece of something much greater. So not only do you gain access to all of the lifetimes that your individuated energy tags, but you gain access to all of the lifetimes that any being from that oversoul has experienced. And this is why many of you have such a rich past life history. And sometimes you'll remember playing out two sides of the same story. So for a lot of you, you played here in World War II, and you played out the Holocaust drama, and a lot of you chose to be both Jews who were persecuted in that incarnation and also Nazis at the same time. Your oversoul was working on both sides of the story to gain that full understanding of the experience.
And I think that's one of the great distractions that many of us get, is we feel that everything needs to fit into a linear-based timeline, that we really just represent this one particular being. Here I am as Brad, there's nobody else like me on the planet. But we are starting to understand that there's these shards to where there's simultaneous incarnates based upon many different experiences at the same time.
Yes, that's correct. That's why we answered the way we did about that hierarchical structure, because when you begin to view from the multidimensional perspective, all of that language, all of that third-dimensional fragmenting out and compartmentalizing out in that way, that just all goes away. Absolutely. You know, we'll talk about that for a moment. We'd like to help you all with that, how you can best move out of the third-dimensional perspective and into the fifth-dimensional perspective. So the way to do that is to stop trying to figure it all out with your minds, and instead simply allow yourself to feel your way through the experiences, through your heart center. And as you drop down in your heart center and begin to use the heart chakra as your universal connector, instead of the seventh chakra as your universal connector, and this has occurred for many of you now, where you're really using your heart centers as the universal connector, well, the third dimensional mind starts to break down, and this is why so many of you are having breakdowns, and also why you can't remember things, why time feels fuzzy to you. Your third dimensional mind is breaking down, and that's great. All that is a system of filters put in place to keep you in the third dimensional perspective. So as you run your energy through the heart center and the third dimensional mind breaks down, the fifth dimensional mind begins to become operational. As fifth dimensional beings, you will be mind, heart-centered beings. Much broader perspective available to you as fifth dimensionals.
So a very common question again. Yeah,
well, just wanted to give a quick example on that. It will no longer be, you'll see flashes of light out of the corners of your eyes, for those of you who feel clairvoyant. It will be instead, you will full-on face-to-face interactions with beings of light sitting with you in your space, in physical reality that you can access full-on. Now, this is already happening, but your third-dimensional mind won't allow you to see it. So as you drop the filters of your third-dimensional mind, you will be able to see what has always been around you.
Absolutely. And one of the questions I think, again, is very, very common is the relations of dimension, because we speak a lot about third dimension and fifth dimension. What is it that you could define pertaining to the idea of dimension? Are we talking about different forms of density planes to where there is more light and less physicality, or how would you describe that?
It was simply talking about rate of frequency and vibration. That's it. So third dimension vibrates at a particular rate, fourth dimension a bit faster, fifth dimension a bit faster, and on and on. And it's a very simplified way of describing it, but it helps you all really understand it.
All right, so basically the density or dimensional constructs would basically represent that particular weight in that sense.
That's correct. Yes, the slower you vibrate, the more you're able to access physical density. The slower you vibrate, the more you're able to forget. You are a universal being of love and light. And that was part of the game here, to come in, forget, and then reawaken. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much to the Pleadian Collective and to Yeshua and to all the energies that have joined us through Nora today. And I really, really thank you, Nora, for being here on Self-Empowerment TV and sharing your wisdom and your knowledge. Is there a website that people can go to find out more about you?
Yes, thank you, Brad. It's www.noraherold.com. That's NORAHEROLD.com.
All right.
And I've got lots of videos up and free information. You can also look into booking a session with me and all of my events that I've got going on. I've got an Equinox event in Ojai, and then I'm looking at an event in Belgium at the end of October for all of you over there in Europe. I'm excited to be connecting up with you.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Nora. And again, we'll have your website up on Self-Empowerment TV here in this video. Thank you so much for being a part of this today, and much blessings to you. Namaste. Thank you so much.
Oh, Brad, thank you so much. Much, much love to you.
Thank you. Namaste.